Honestly, this seems a bit like gaslighting from what I can tell. Alright, today I wanted to go through this article I found on Slate from Apple News Plus called I Showed My Nephew a Totally Normal Kid Movie. Now I'm banned from babysitting. Yeah, from what I skimmed over it before I decided to read it for the video, it seems like it goes on about the changing standards of these kinds of things. So, for those of you who don't know, PG-13 wasn't really a thing until the mid 80s. Well, actually, it didn't exist until the mid 80s because of Indiana Jones and the Temple of Doom. Thank you, Steven Spielberg. Yeah, it was mostly just G, PG, or R, and then PG-13 became the middle ground. Honestly, with streaming services and more easy availability of films, meaning a theater usher can't bar you from watching an R-rated movie on Netflix if you're 17 or under. Well, 16 or under, because like I said before, 17 is when you're old enough to go in by yourself. 18 or older can bring in 16 or under. I should know. One of my friends, who was 16 at the time when Deadpool 2 came out, came with me and my other friend, his brother, to see Deadpool 2. There were a couple concerns about that, but one, his brother was 18 at the time, and two, I was 21 at the time. When we went to present our tickets to the usher, long story short, uh, they didn't ask any questions because I was very obviously over the age of 18 and we were heading in to see the movie together. It's not like I was told when I worked at the movie theater is I couldn't let in parents who just dropped off children under the age of 16 an R-rated movie. They had to go in and stay with them throughout. But I digress. All right, by Rebecca Onion. Dear Karen Feeding, my sister-in-law, Kate, is very protective of my 8-year-old nephew, Adam, to the point that she still sometimes treats him like he's 3. To be clear, he doesn't have any developmental, behavioral, neurodivergent diagnoses. He might be a bit on the sensitive side, but it's honestly hard to tell if that's just who he is, or the result of Kate treating him the way she does. Recently, I was watching Adam while Kate and my brother attended a work event. Something he had said led me to quote a well known movie from the 80s that my brother and I grew up watching. It involves a goblin king stealing a baby and the baby's sister on a quest to get the baby back. Adam asked me what the quote meant, and I told him about the movie, and he said he wanted to watch it. I didn't think twice. It's rated PG, and my brother and I were even younger than him when we first watched it. So I put it on, and he loved it. There were a couple of scenes where he got a little tense, but I would pause it, tell him what was about to happen, and let him decide if he wanted to keep watching, and both times he did. When his parents got him, he told them how he watched the movie and that he really liked it. My brother just said, "Oh, that's great. I loved that movie too when I was a kid." But Kate was a different story. She actually said to Adam while pretending to joke, "Wow, I guess I can't trust your aunt alone with you anymore, showing you scary movies like that." Adam looked a bit crestfallen, like he did something wrong, and mumbled that he wasn't scared. My brother told him to say goodbye to me and go get ready for bed. When Adam went upstairs, Kate berated me for putting that movie on. My brother tried to tell her it wasn't a big deal, but didn't really defend me. Wow, what a great brother you have. A couple of weeks later, we were all over my parents' house for dinner when Kate announces at the table in front of Adam how Adam has been waking up with nightmares thanks to his aunt. Then she said to Adam, No more scary movies for you, right, buddy? Adam looked uncomfortable and said, I don't like them, I can't sleep. I was livid, but didn't react for Adam's sake, and instead apologized to him for showing a movie that scared him. He said it was okay. My brother, once again, didn't interfere. My parents know how Kate is with Adam, and just rolled their eyes and switched the conversation to something else. Later, I pulled my brother aside and said I didn't appreciate Kate calling me out like that. I said I also had a hard time believing Adam was actually scared by the movie, and that Kate was probably working him up over it, and that she was the one causing him nightmares, if that was really happening. My brother pretty much confirmed this. He said Adam has been tired lately, and when they asked him why, he said he was having bad dreams, to which Kate said, Oh, it must be because of that movie your aunt made you watch. First off, she didn't make him watch the movie, she gave him every chance to turn away when it got to the scarier parts. Second, sounds a lot like the mother here, Kate, that's her name, is planting the idea of the movie doing that to him, subconsciously tricking him. Honestly, this seems a bit like gaslighting from what I can tell. As much as that annoys me, I'd be willing to let it go, except it's now come out that Kate doesn't want me watching Adam anymore because she doesn't trust me. My brother says he can't force her to change her mind, even though he claims he doesn't agree with her. I'm so upset this is now going to hurt my relationship with my nephew. What do I do? But I'm a good aunt. I mean, if the worst thing you do is show a movie that has the MPAA rating of PG and you gave him every chance to back away when it got to the scarier parts, yeah, I'd say you're a good aunt by virtue of the fact that, as far as we know, you haven't done anything worse than that. If that's the worst thing that you did, then you are a good aunt. Now let's see what the response is, because I didn't mention this earlier, but it's a write in thing. I want to see what the response is. Dear good aunt, I suppose I could reply to this letter by issuing a ruling on whether the movie in question is okay for an 8-year-old. Our child watched it with us at 7, loved it, and often petitions for a rewatch. But we do have friends with more sensitive, aged kids who would never show it to them. I can't say whether your nephew was actually scared of the movie, but I will point out that sometimes kids might seem fine with a movie in the moment when they're having so much fun in the lit up living room, eating popcorn with their good aunt who's babysitting, only to then develop fears of certain indelible scenes later when lying in their little beds at night. That's the magic of cinema. I also would point out that the MPAA ratings are not 100% dependable as a system. Here's a fascinating article about how the PG rating has changed a lot over time. In the 1970s and early 80s, all kinds of films got PGs that would now be PG 13, including Temple of Doom, Gremlins, and incredibly, Jaws. We showed that last one to our child at 8, trusting in our memories and that our pre 1984 PG, and regretting it. You haven't lived until you console a child who just watched Quint get ripped out of Brody's arms and chomped to bits before his eyes, especially when you were the one who promised that child the movie was not too scary, just suspenseful. The PG received by the movie in your story was awarded in 1986, so it may hold more water than the one held by Jaws. But I mention this historical fact, which I certainly did not know until we made the great Jaws mistake, to point out that our memories of movies watched years before aren't always correct. Since the Jaws debacle, we go a step further and look up movies on Common Sense Media's Parents Guide. We are pretty fine tuned by now in our theories of what we are willing to let our child see, Swearing is fine. Who cares? Yeah, who gives a fuck? Sorry, I had to do that. I had to add that. The PG received by the movie in your story was awarded in 1986, so it may hold more water than the one held by Jaws. But I mention this historical fact, which I certainly did not know until we made the great Jaws mistake, to point out that our memories of movies watched years before aren't always correct. Since the Jaws de- Oh, wait, I already read that one. All that said, your sister-in-law sounds annoying as hell, but a lot of parents are careful about what their kids see. That's why, among parents hosting playdates for kids this age, it's common courtesy to shoot a text to make sure a show or movie is approved before pressing play. At the very least, you're covering your butt. No matter your own memories of your childhood, or your secret and apparently correct belief that your sister-in-law is a classic smother mother, you should have asked them first. If you think it would help you get back in your sister-in-law's good graces to suck up your irritation and promise her that you will do that in the future, you should do that. And then this one has more from Slate, more advice from Slate. Yeah, she really should have checked in with the smother mother, as we'll call her, first, because that just would have made more sense. That would have easily prevented this situation. But it looks like if uh good aunt, that's what she's called, wants to get back in her good graces, then she might just have to apologize. Anyway, in regards to this kind of thing, I was 8 years old, 20 years ago, next month in fact, when Revenge of the Sith came out. And that was the first ever PG-13 movie I watched, let alone went to the theater for. Yeah, it has to have been that I watched because I don't remember any other PG-13 movies up until then. That was my entry into PG-13, and that movie literally, spoiler alert for a 20-year-old movie, shows Anakin Skywalker being burned alive. Yeah, I suspect that's probably what got it PG-13 compared to the first two prequels, which got PG. That was by late 90s, early 2000s standards. Yeah, up through the 80s, they actually never even mention why a movie got its MPAA rating. If you look through the right sources, they won't list the reasons. Actually, let me pull up this little known website called filmratings.com. Alright, let me just. Here we go. Alright, so this is the official MPAA website where you can get the films. Let's see. Temple of Doom. Alright, it's just rated PG. Certificate number 27401. No reason given. Now let's jump ahead a year. No reason given for any of the first three Back to no, not first three, just Back to the Future movies. Alright, so I actually don't know what movie that is that they were talking about in the first place. I'm gonna have to have ChatGPT pull it up. Alright, a well-known movie from the 80s. It involves a Goblin King stealing a baby and yeah. Alright. What movie fits this description? Alright, while I wait for ChatGPT's answer, let's jump forward to 1992. Yeah, as you can see, rated R for language. And let's just go ahead one more year. Yeah, the original Jurassic Park, PG-13 for intense science fiction hot terror. And according to ChatGPT, the movie is... Oh my god, I just realized that I didn't have this in the right thing. So as you can see here, for just to recap what I was talking about earlier, they have the reason here listed for why the movie is given the rating that it's given. If you go all the way up to as recently as 1990, they don't give a reason. It's either 1991 or 1992 that they started listing the reason that it got that rating. So yeah, anyway, the movie I've confirmed was Labyrinth, according to ChatGPT. I might want to watch it now just out of curiosity because I haven't seen it. Look, I said I'm Gen X at heart despite being Gen Z, but I haven't seen all the Gen X movies. I've seen Breakfast Club. I've seen what was it? I've seen most of the movies that Ready Player One draws from. Not all of them, but enough of them. So yeah, I think the point of all this is standards like that evolve for good reason sometimes, or standards like that, or you could also say that today's children are softer because they're weaker because they aren't shown movies like that anymore, which I think there's a good argument to be had that better research gives us a better insight into why something like that is damaging. Like, the reason that there's more diagnoses of autism today is not because they're trying to overdiagnose it, but because they have better diagnostic tools and better understanding of it, as well as a clearer definition. You let me know in the comments down below what do you think of all this. So be sure to give this video a like, subscribe for daily videos, and I'll see you soon.